Awesome. So welcome, Natalie King. You are, I don't know if this qualifies as an international podcast or if you qualify as an international guest, because you are actually South African, but you buggered off from South Africa a good few years ago, and now you're in the UK. So I'll need some direction in terms of if this is an international.
It's interview. International. I'm British as well. So
okay, all right. Well, it says so in the passport, so it must be true. So anyway, we digress. Welcome to my little podcast. Maybe you'd like to just kick off the conversation before we get to the meat of it, just so that the listeners know and the viewers, because we're going to be posting this on your video channel as well. So hopefully we don't have to edit too much out, but yeah, just so that the listeners know, this is the first time I'm doing an interview without having done like prep questions that I've sent off to the interviewee. So this could be amazing. We could go down some amazing rabbit holes, or it could be a complete train wreck. So let's see what happens before we get there.
Oh, I like to go with amazing. We're gonna be fabulous.
Do you want to maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself and then give a brief overview of what it is that you do and why you do what you do?
Well, you mentioned it earlier. I grew up in South Africa. I was born in Africa and grew up in South Africa. And I've been living in the UK now for 21 years, just over 21 years. I came to the UK in the beginning of April 2000.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so I've been here a long time. Haven't managed to lose the accent. I still have the South African accent, which quite a lot of people ask if I'm from Australia.
Yeah, I get that as well. I get that as well. I get British or Australian, and if I'm in England, it's Australian. So yeah,
so
it's real.
it's never been to Australia. Want to go? Never been. So at the moment, what I do is I'm a confidence coach. And this is where most people are like, huh? What? What is confidence coaching? What it is, basically, I do what it says on the tin, is I help business owners to find their confidence. Now, without confidence, you can't do anything. You feel stuck, you feel lost. And I help people to really connect and build their confidence, because so many people have a lot of potential. They have a huge purpose that they need to live in their life, but if you don't have the confidence to do it, chances are you're not going to do it. And you don't need a massive amount of confidence to start something. You just need to take that first step. And as you grow, so does your confidence, and that grows. But what I do is I help you to understand what the sort of sabotages that you might put in your way, what little gremlins can pop up in your thoughts or in your mind that might stop you, and tools on how you can just progress through that. So that's sort of a
that was like the nutshell version. Now, confidence, obviously, when people think of confidence, they think of stage actors or someone like a president like Barack Obama, for example, giving a speech. And I mean, I wasn't around when, there was Winston Churchill and Martin Luther King Jr. and all of those amazing speech makers, but Barack Obama could give a flippin' good speech. But that kind of confidence that these people portray, is that what you're talking about? Because, and now I'm going to immediately throw a spanner in the works and start giving you a hard time. There's something called the appearance bias, where people kind of mistake confidence or mistake someone's good looks, for example, or good physique for confidence. And please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm an armchair psychologist. I do a lot of reading, so I could be talking a big load of crap here. But I mean, how do you define confidence? Because people who appear confident might not actually be, how do you say, competent. So there's that kind of confidence competent divide. We want to appear competent but be confident about it at the same time. So maybe you could kind of delve into how confidence fits into business.
Okay, wow. That was like a lot.
Yes, sorry. Like I said,
first of all, you've got me intrigued with this image bias, did you call it? I've never heard of that, and I'm going to now go and look this up and find out more about it, because that sounds really interesting. One thing that did come to mind is comparison bias, which I've looked at, and that is where we compare ourselves to others. But having the confidence like Barack Obama, this is learned. He's learned how to give good speeches. He's also had good speech writers. I mean, by the time you get to president, you have some good speech writers. But it was also about being comfortable in who you are. And Barack Obama has confidence, but he also does have what we call imposter has come out at a couple of times for him as well. But with the confidence, he's learned to be confident. He knows what he's talking about. He's comfortable in his topic or his speeches, and this comes through when giving speeches. And you normally find that the people who give these good speeches have grown their confidence. Now, maybe if you've seen their speeches a few years back when they started out, did not look like they look once they're on stage for a while. And confidence is something that you can use it, you build it like a muscle. If you use it, you grow it. If you stop using it, you lose it. And it is about doing activities that keep you pushing you forward, that help you. But when it comes to like public speaking and giving these speeches, it is also the practice. The amount of speeches that you need to give in order to be comfortable on stage is quite high. And again, it's learning the skill of public speaking. It's learning how you project yourself. It's learning about the words that you're using, but it's also about being you as well. It's finding your way of speaking. And you can look at different speakers and they all have different types of mannerisms, and you can start to see where they repeat them. Now, I'm talking about motivational speakers and speakers. I'm not talking about politicians, because quite often, other than Barack Obama, I just put my foot into that one, didn't I? But it's when you look at a lot of politicians who are not motivational speakers as well. So Barack Obama is a motivational speaker as well. You can see that they're doing things, or they've rehearsed how they're going to be speaking. At times when they've got to be pointing their finger at you, and at what they're doing, it's almost staged. And this is so public speaking is a whole different skill set than actual confidence. Now, you don't need to be confident to have the skill set of public speaking. It does help to be confident, and you can start to really learn how to. So I grew my confidence via the public speaking route, and I learned how to speak in public, which then grew my confidence. But going on to this a little bit onto this image bias that you mentioned, from what I'm guessing, because I've not heard of this, and I'm really, thank you for giving me something else to find out about. I love learning new stuff. Is you also get what is known as introvert or extrovert. And quite often, and this is why I mentioned the image bias, because it might be that an extrovert, they're loud, they're the soul of the party, they're there, they always have a crowd of people around them, they forceful in meetings or whatever, and people assume that they are confident. They're just outgoing, it doesn't mean that they're confident. Whereas an introvert who normally sits on their own, they're normally the ones who are quietly in the corner, people assume that they don't have confidence. Now, they could be very confident, but they're introverts. Introverts like to be on their own. They don't need to be surrounded by a lot of people because it drains their energy. And this is where I'm wondering if the image bias doesn't come into this, because normally when somebody is loud and outgoing and the soul of the party and is full of jokes, and that person in a meeting who has everybody around them who has an opinion, is it the image that they are portraying, or is it the actual physical image that you are starting to notice?
Yeah.
And this is something that I would find quite interesting to start looking into. But confidence is such a complex topic, and there's no one way, or there's no right or wrong way. There's no one size fits all. It is, everybody comes at it in a different way. And one person can be really confident at public speaking, but not so confident running a meeting. And yet you get some others who are other way around.
Yeah.
So confidence is a sort of constantly expanding or detracting emotion, or it's not quite an emotion, but it can just grow and shrink depending on what you're doing. But it's about how you are when it's shrinking, or when you're feeling unsure or nervous. Again, you can feel nervous, doesn't mean that you don't have confidence. You're just unsure of the situation that's happening. You're unsure of the crowd that you're talking to, but you have the tools in place that you can keep going.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have confidence and then you feel nervous, this is when the fear factor sets in, and the fight and flight mode might set in. And this is where you think, oh my God, I can't do this. Oh, get me out of here. And then you freeze, panic. And it's only might have been because the nerves kicked in, but you didn't have the tools or been working on your confidence to say, you know what, this is just nerves. Cool, I can handle this. I've got it. The palms are sweating, the heart's racing, but you're in a situation that you've got an idea of how it's going to go, but you don't have 100% idea of how it goes. And it's just that uncertainty of new crowd almost in a public speaking event.
Yeah. Now
that's sort of
that was it was a long, complicated question. I think you did quite well navigating it. Sorry, like I said, I'm making this shit up as I go along. So I don't know what's going to come out of,
to have conversations.
I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth until it does. So this is a bit of a new experience for the listeners, I think. I hope that they found value in that answer, because I think you did very well to navigate that question. Now, you mentioned imposter syndrome. So let's chat a little bit about that, because this is a massive problem for a lot of business owners, whether they have been in business for a long time, whether they're brand new. My business is fairly new. I've only been going for 3-ish years. And coming out of the corporate space where you get told what to do, and, the corporate space kind of tells you that they reward you for taking initiative, but they really don't. I mean, you have to toe the line and all that kind of thing. You stick to your little bubble. You don't kind of cross-pollinate with other departments. And now when you start your own business, and this is the issue that I had, you kind of doubt your own ability. And that definitely comes across, obviously, in meetings when you're trying to do sales, when you're trying to do networking. You don't want to kind of oversell and under-deliver. Now, that is not necessarily what you're doing, but imposter syndrome, you kind of doubt yourself all the time. So do you want to kind of delve into, I know this is one of your areas, and you said you've got a masterclass on this. Do you want to delve into imposter syndrome and how, what it is and how people can deal with it?
So yeah, you're right. Imposter syndrome is huge. And we are talking about majority. So I looked up the stats the other day. I think it was about 70 to 80% of business owners at some point have had, or actually people in the world, not just business owners, imposter can go for anybody, has had an imposter syndrome at some point in their life. And we are talking about big hitters, you know, Oprah Winfrey, Obama, Michelle Obama, you know, Richard Branson. They've all had imposter syndrome at some point. And it's feeling like a fraud. You feel that you don't belong. You feel like I'm not good enough, or I shouldn't be here, or I'm not skilled enough. I don't know enough. And it's all these doubts that you start to put into place. And one of the places that I've noticed a lot of business owners get it is at networking events, because quite often you might see other business owners, they've maybe been in business longer, they might be in the same industry as you, they might be extroverts and able to hide that they don't have confidence, and you walk into this room and all of a sudden you think, oh my God, I don't belong here, I shouldn't be here. You know, these people are way better than me and I should just turn around and leave. And this is just the self-doubt coming in. It's this phenomenon of the imposter syndrome. It can just hit you at any time. But the thing is you can deal with it. You can find the way and tools that enable you to say, hang on a minute, I do belong in this room. I am a serious business owner. But it's really starting to understand what it is that's happening, because quite often it is more of an emotion, and then it's like, oh my God, I've just got to leave, I've got to go out of here, I can't do it. And then you get this freezing process and this beating yourself up and this huge self-doubt. And imposter syndrome and confidence work quite well hand in hand in a way. Is when you start working on your confidence, you actually start to see imposter for what it is, an imposter. That wording is used for a reason. It's an imposter. It's not a real thing. It's not real. You're not a fraud. You don't know your stuff. You do know what you're doing. You building a business, and business owners get it even 20 years in the industry. So it's not just something that just happens to new business owners. It affects anybody at any time. And this is what the amazing thing is about the imposter, is that it can hit anyone. And you know, you're looking at Oprah Winfrey and you think, she ran the #1 television producer and presenter in the world. And there were times where she felt like a fraud. Katy Perry, you know, she felt like a fraud. Lady Gaga sold out of her concerts and she didn't think that she was worth it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not like she was a new singer. She was an international superstar and still had these feelings, these emotions. And why I use these big names is to help you to feel that you're not alone, because yes, it is common for new business owners. I feel like that sometimes. I get it. And sometimes I think, no, I've got it. I'm that imposter. I've kicked it. I've got rid of it. And then the next day it's like, wham. It's like, hang on a minute, what just happened? So it does happen. And it does happen to a lot of new business owners. And unfortunately, these are one of the reasons why businesses fail, because the thought process that's going on in a new business's mind allows them to, or gives them an excuse or reason to fail.
Yeah.
And it might be something else that's triggered the failure. But if you go right back, it's normally or can be the thought process that's gone in your head. And the thing is, it is powerful, but you can kick it to the curb. That's what I called my masterclass, is kicking it to the curb. And one of the ways of doing that is to remind yourself of your skill sets, remind yourself of your expertise, remind yourself of what you have accomplished. So I'll give you an example. Is sometimes I've given a speech and I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this. I'm no good at this. You know, there's better speakers than me. And I start comparing myself to, you know, Obama and Les Brown and all these good speakers. And then I think, oh, I'm no good. And then what I got to do is remind myself, hang on a minute, I've given X amount of speeches. I've qualified, or I have acquired the award of Distinguished Toastmaster. I haven't spoken in as many years as Les Brown or Obama. I'm not on that stage. A, because I'm younger than them, and B, because I choose not to be. But the thing is, where they were at the amount of years that I've been doing it, I'm in the right place. I can push myself to become a better speaker and to become more of a motivational speaker and go on stages and everything else. But is that a direction I want to go into? Not at this particular moment in my life. Who knows? So I shouldn't be comparing myself to these guys who have done that. They've taken a different route. But what I need to remember is that I have spoken in public. I enjoy it. I've learned this. I've been doing it for 8 years now. And where I started and where I am now, I've come a long way. And this is what is important, is to acknowledge where you are and what you have done, not go and compare yourself to you know, these big singers. I can sing in the shower, but there's no way in hell I'm going to sound like Lady Gaga on stage. I can't just now go and do that because I've not trained the way she has. I've not put in the effort. I've not put in anything. I like to say jog around the block, but I can't compare myself to Kelly Holmes, who is an Olympian runner, because I've run around the block.
You run around the block and then you run around the block and then you kick it back under the bed.
So who are you comparing yourself to? Who are you putting up there and judging yourself against them? And this is what is important. If you are comparing yourself to somebody who's been in business for 20 years, but you've been in business for 2, that's unrealistic. You can't even compare yourself with somebody who's been in business for 3 years and you've been in business for 3 years, because you've had different paths, you've had different learnings, you've had a different journey. And this is where imposter is. You really need to see, what are you doing to allow that imposter in?
I think that's kind of the crux of it, isn't it? I mean, comparison is the root of all evil, like, you know, but unfortunately it's human nature that we will always compare who's got the biggest house, which we determined just before this, that you definitely have a bigger house than me.
But by like 3 inches.
But you know, it's kind of like you need to look at finding role models, for example. And I've got a few, and, you know, we're not going to delve into who they are and all that kind of thing, but it's really difficult to cross that, to keep them separate. You know, look at them from a role model versus ending up comparing yourself to them. It's a very fine line. I mean, you know, we've used the example now, so let's carry on using it. Barack Obama is an amazing speech giver. He doesn't say I say like 40 times a minute. And yes, that's something that I can, you know, I can work on. But if I had to compare the way I speak in this podcast versus how Barack Obama addresses the US nation, or, you know, the entire world sometimes, you know, it's chalk and cheese. And it can make you, if you get to that level of comparison, it can make you feel really trashy about yourself. You know, I'm not living up to the standards now. You know, I want to be like Barack Obama, the way he gives speeches, and listen to the ums. I'm like a Toastmasters counter's worst nightmare. That guy would be so busy
You cut out a little bit there.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, where did we get to?
You were talking about Barack Obama.
Yes. So I mean, you can't compare. I can't compare myself to him, even though I aspire to be like him in terms of public speaking. So you know, that's a fine line between the comparison and inspiration.
And this is the important thing, and you've hit the nail on the head. Is you can have these role models and aspire to be like someone else, or to have them inspire you to better yourself, to improve yourself, to help you to grow. And it's about taking people who you admire for a particular skill set or something that they have, and finding a way that you can bring that into your life. So like you said, you aspire to be a great speaker like Barack Obama, and then you can learn to become a great speaker. You can learn to become a better speaker to the level that you then find your own way. You will never, ever become a speaker like Barack Obama because you're not Barack Obama.
Yeah.
But you can become a good speaker, a good motivational speaker, having been inspired by Barack Obama. But you would then need to find Megan's way of being a great speaker. And this is where you can have the role models to inspire you to sort of up-level yourself, and then find your own way, find your own path, your own voice, your own way of doing something.
Yeah.
And this is what is so powerful, is when you've, dare I say, used somebody to get you up a level, as in they inspired you or motivated you or even kicked you up the butt, then you can then become who you need to be.
Yeah, we all need a kick up the butt from time to time, especially as business owners.
Yeah, when you work for yourself on your own, it's butt kicking is normally a handy thing. It's finding the right person, though. It's having the right person.
Definitely, because you don't want it to cross over into micromanaging either, and like the domineering parent-child relationship. You know, have you done your accounting today? Have you filed that filing? No, piss off.
You also need somebody who you respect, who's doing it, and they're doing it in the right way. They're not just kicking you up the butt for the sake of it and putting you down while they're doing it. It's about holding you up and making you, or enabling you to really go that next step or that next level.
Kicking your butt without damaging your confidence.
Yes.
Now, we've been going for a while. I've got another question, and then we can end off with a quick fire round. So the question is along the lines of, again, we're speaking a lot about like fine lines. You know, that's obviously the theme that has kind of leached itself to my brain for this particular conversation. Now, there's a fine line between being assertive and being aggressive. And, you know, when you're confident, or even if you're projecting confidence, if you're not feeling very confident, but you need to, you could come off as really kind of positively assertive, or, you know, aggressive. And this is also now part of confidence and that kind of thing. Feel free to disagree with me. This is, again, my weird brain in action. So how do you stop yourself from slipping from being assertive to aggressive? How do you, as the person doing it, notice when you start slipping into that, you know, from the positive to the negative?
So this is something that it is about knowing yourself. So one thing I would like to just, because you were talking about aggression or the aggressive, is arrogance is not confidence. So a lot of people do mistake arrogance for confidence. It's not. Arrogance is arrogance. It is what it is. And quite often when somebody is being aggressive in running a meeting or in a way, it is either arrogance, it is their right to be like that, or they have absolutely no confidence whatsoever. And a way to make them feel better is to belittle others. And this is normally a sign of lack of self-belief and a lack of confidence, is belittling those that you can, because it makes you feel better, makes you more powerful. Being assertive in a positive way, this is normally comes through having worked on yourself and having some form of confidence within you. Now, some people have natural or have really worked on their people skills, and they understand that to be assertive in a positive way is more important than being aggressive and belittling. And this comes down to personality. This comes down to the way you see people. And I know in the corporate world, you get a lot of this aggressive down on you, the managers, or I'm a manager, therefore you will listen to me. And
it boils down to workplace bullying at the end of the day, when you've got that arrogant, aggressive behavior, you know, and it's not necessarily always from the top down, it's kind of from the bottom up and like cross level
sideways
as well. Like,
from all levels. And this is not confidence. This is not confidence. It's perceived confidence, because if you look, one of the ways to see it is if you look at bullies, they are normally insecure. They have no confidence. You look at the school ground bullies, they've always got their pals around them. You catch them on their own and they're like, I'm out of here. You know, they're the biggest coward out. You get it as well in the corporate industry. And yet they can build, they can get themselves promoted and everything to a level where they can just bully from a height. But this isn't about being confident or assertive in a good way. And when you are being assertive in a positive way, it's normally because you understand yourself, you understand people, you want to have a good environment, you most probably have done some work on yourself, or you just have these natural people skills that you've developed over the years in whatever field that you're in. So the difference, I would think, is with aggressive, it's a power play. But assertive in a positive way is about building relationships. It's about nurturing who you with, or for what, or anything. And if you start to really look at the people who are doing it, what's behind it? What's really happening? And this is when it starts getting interesting, when you start to dig to see what's really going on.
Yeah. Cool. We've, like I said, just before this question, we've been going for quite a while. So I'm going to end off, because I think that's probably a good place to leave it. So I'm going to end off with a little quick fire round of 5 questions. And again, you didn't have these questions to prep at all, so I'm super keen to hear your answers. So question number 1, define success.
Success is personal. Success is personal. One person's success is not necessarily somebody else's success. It is a personal, what you perceive as being successful in your life. It's personal.
Cool. Question number 2. What do you do when you're not working on your business? And does anything you do outside of work feed back into your business?
I'm starting to have to take lessons and teachings that I work with my clients. I always tell my clients, find time for you, do your own stuff. I tend to work a lot on my business, just through, I love what I do. So I work a lot on my business. But if I'm not working on my business, I love going to the seaside or spending some time out in nature. I take my dogs to the seaside or go for walks in the woods. And I'm about an hour's away from the seaside, and England is about fish and chips in the seaside. It's this really weird culture that the English have, and it's something that I've adapted to. So I love to just go to the seaside and unwind, have a nice fish and chips, and then come home. And normally that then sort of reboots me. That's what I like to do.
Yeah, I find any time taken away from the business does, that you are doing something not business related, it does feed back in some way. But time away, again, it's a fine line by spending too much time away from the business.
I spend a lot of time on my business. I read a lot of books that really interest me, which I then bring into my business. And I don't have kids. I've got 3 dogs who look after themselves. I have a husband who looks after himself. So I do have the time to focus on my business, and I really love what I do. So for me, it's not work. It's just a new challenge that I want to work on or sort out or create or whatever.
Yeah, awesome. That little extra bit that you put in there feeds directly into the next question. So if all the books in the world suddenly spontaneously combusted except for one, what book would it be and why? No pressure.
Oh my God, this would be like my ideal hell. No books except one. Oh my word, this would be like, oh my God, life is over.
I had a very clever guest that said, I will save all the books in the world on my Kindle. So if all the paperbacks spontaneously combusted, everything will be saved in my Kindle. That's a cop-out. Come on. Now I want you to name a book. Come on.
Well, I'm going to name the book that I'm reading because I want to finish it. I don't like books half read. And it's a really good book. It's about breath. It's about breathing. It's by a guy called James Nez something. He's a journalist and he's really, I know I should know what the name is, but it's a really good book about breathing and about how important it is to breathe. And I always mention breathing with calming down and confidence, and I thought this would be a good book. So I would keep this book because I want to know how it ends.
Okay, fair enough. The book. I feel like you've wormed your way around this question, but I will give it to you. We'll put the book in the show notes as well if anyone was interested to know who James something is.
I read the book and I look who the author is.
Awesome. Now, I don't know if this is kind of along the same lines, this question. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a book, but is there a specific resource that you continually return to that you believe is integral to your own personal development?
It's usually books. I find I've got a lot of help from books, but a lot of it is me just Googling stuff. I couldn't handle not having Google because I get so much information from that, and you can go down, I can spend hours going down one rabbit hole after another, getting information, finding out stuff. And then what I will do is once I've gone down the rabbit hole of Google or, searching and blogs and bits and pieces, I will then find a book that would then maybe cover a lot of what I've looked at, so that I've get it almost in one place or two places. But it's usually either the internet or people. I enjoy meeting people or talking to people to get new ideas. So you've mentioned the image bias. So you know where I'm going this afternoon. Mr. Google, here I come to find out. And then I might find a book or a blog or something. And then I try and work out how can I incorporate it into what I do. So it's a combination. So it's not one way of going, but it's usually either a book or it's the internet.
Cool. Final question. What one piece of advice do you wish you had received when you started your business?
Oh, wow. This is a question I always ask my guests. I should have an answer prep, shouldn't I? One bit of advice that I wish I had known 8 years ago when I had to, when I quit my job and started my journey of running a business, is how important it is to have the right people in your corner. So a coach, a mentor, and having the right people there. It took me, I've been in business 8 years. It took me 7 before I realized I needed help with a coach, because I thought I had to do it on my own. And this was my mindset, is I had to do it all on my own. So if I could go back and, tell myself, I would say, get the help, because you don't have to be on your own.
Yeah.
And this is something I really wish I had known then.
Cool. Yeah, I kind of had that mindset as well. When you start your business, now you're a business owner, you have to do everything yourself. And you really do need other people, even if it is just to bounce ideas off of. I teach a little class on creativity, and I always say, get your little creative team. You don't have to tell them you're part of my creative team, just get a group of people together that you trust, that you can bounce ideas off of, because often they'll come up with solutions that you don't notice yourself, or an outsider's perspective is always needed. And it's so important, especially when you're like you and myself, we are locked in the house by ourselves with our dogs working. It's difficult to get yourself an outsider's perspective. So yeah. But
it's also having, pay for a coach, pay for a mentor, because they might know something that you don't know, but have the right ones. Don't just have a coach because that's what you meant to do. Find the right people to be in your corner. I've had some coaches who've been very unhelpful, and I've had some amazing coaches. You don't always swap and change, have a couple at a time, but it's having that help, because that's what they're there for. And especially when you're starting out, find the right mentors or the right coaches, and build, like you said, your little community of people. You don't have to do it on your own. You can't do it on your own.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Natalie. This has been very enjoyable. I don't think it was the train wreck. I think it was erring on the side of awesome. So maybe I'm going to go this route for further interviews. I can see all my future guests, like their hair's going grey. What doozy of a question is she going to throw at me? But
I love the spontaneous, though. I love it. Give me a set of questions, and that freaks me out. It's too planned.
Where can people get hold of you? You're on social media, although we did have a chat the other day about how you want to get off of social media. So you're still there for the moment. You've obviously got a website.
I will be on social media for a while. I'm not a fan of social media, but I appreciate how powerful social media is. I have a YouTube channel, and you can get me on my website, Natalie King Coaching. Anything is under Natalie King Coaching, and I'm on. And I have a group, Natalie King's Confidence Club, which you're welcome to come and join me. It's a Facebook group.
Okay.
And I'm on LinkedIn, Natalie King. So it's very simple. Anything is Natalie King Coaching. It's
awesome.
It's simple. I like simple.
You've got an easy name to spell, so that's fantastic. But for people who may not be writers or have spell check, I will put all the links in the show notes to this podcast on my website. So yes, thanks, Natalie. This was fantastic. I really had a good time. Clearly, I'm very easy to please. Chatting to people gives me the happies. So yeah, thank you for taking the time. I will
be great.
Yeah.